Good evening and welcome to the Holy Spirit's Blog Talk Radio Show. I am your host, Minister G.L. Hart, and I thank you all for tuning in. All right, tonight we have a wonderful show, and we have titled it 10 Reasons Why Most People No Longer Attend Churches of Any Denominations. My God. It seems like everywhere you turn, people are saying, that's why I don't go to church. But why? What does that mean when they are saying they no longer attend churches of any denominations? Well, the real answers will surprise you when we first find out the meaning of church and what God intended the church to be in the first place. So we're so glad that you have joined us tonight on this show, and we have a lot of ground to cover dealing with church. But I also wanted to talk about why young folk, the young adults have, as they called it, dropped out of church. And some very interesting reasons of why young adults have dropped out of church. And listen, what's so amazing about this, again, it doesn't matter what denomination, it doesn't matter what race, creed, or color. These kids are waking up, man. And they're waking up to a spiritual God and no longer a religion. And that's where the elders are losing them, because they are walking more spiritually now and more in tune with the universe. Even while you have all these major corporations of Monsanto's and all these corporations have been feeding our youth, really everybody, really, for the past, 100 years, feeding us garbage and putting all types of pesticides in our fruits and or vegetables, and still they are waking up. Because what they don't know, that the power of God outweighs all the stuff that you're trying to do. God's power is sovereign. You're not going to continue just to feed people anything and have them get high and smoke weed and think they're going to be dumbed down forever. There's a shift in this atmosphere. And that is what is happening to these young people. The atmosphere is shifting. Things are changing into the supernatural. And when you begin to tap into the supernatural, baby, ain't nothing you can do about that. So all these corporations that are feeding us garbage and junk and thinking, yeah, we're putting cancer in them. We're putting Alzheimer's in them. You can't kill them all. Because God reign and rule has always been here. The devil may have reign and rule for a season, but you cannot reign and rule something that you could not ever create forever. And that's where the wicked and the wealthy are finding themselves. Every time they pull a plot, like Ferguson, it always goes beyond their imagination. And now they got to go back to the drawing board over and over and over. They're having to go back to the drawing board because they do not believe in the power of God, because they simply believe in the power of Satan. So that's why I'm so excited to bring you the show tonight, because hopefully this show tonight, at the end of this show, we'll have some clarity as a people of God of where we should be heading and where we should be going. And the most important thing is to put people accountable. This is the most important part, is to put people accountable of not doing what God first intended them to do. How can you call yourself a priest or a bishop or a pastor or whatever you want to call yourself, an elder, and you simply got a church that's worshiping and praising the devil? Why do I say the devil? Because everything about God is in truth and in spirit. No other way. No matter what you did back with, in the day with presidents and with the faith-based initiative, all those things you've done, God has never taken his eye off the church, because God had a purpose for the church. That was one institution That if people wanted to find truth, they could find it. But people allowed white supremacy, racism, separatism, feminism, all these things to say, hey, we can't tell them everything because it might lessen us and our power. And if you're not worshiping the God of the universe, the God who created the entire universe, then you got to ask yourself, brother, who are you worshiping? And what I'm trying to say is, with all these young people, they have woken up and realized mom and dad's a liar. Because ain't no God in that church. They've been there 20 years, but ain't no God in that church. And these young people are thirsty and they're hungry. I think it is in Psalms 42, chapter 42, verses 1 through 3. It talks about thirsting as the antler. He thirsts for a drink of water. So do we thirst for that same hunger for God. And no longer a church is hungry for God, they're hungry for money. And these kids are seeing this now because there's no need for them. Only on a few Sundays, you may do a youth conference or something, they might do a play, but no longer do they have a place in the house of worship. I'm a living witness to that. Young folks have always been the center of any movement. And y'all know it. I'm talking pastors now. Any movement. Well, no old people involved in that. They weren't going to do nothing. They were already programmed. Young folks have always been involved in every single movement or every move of God. And I'm going to talk about that, some of those movements when we come back from break. But I just wanted to open up this show and really give y'all enough time to tune in. Tell somebody, to tune in. Area code 347-215-7187. And this is going to be a doozy, man, because, when you're looking at all this stuff going on in Ferguson, Missouri, all this foolishness, it's not about Mike Brown. But the beauty of it is, it's been over 100 plus days now, and they're still protesting in 172 other cities around the globe. People are protesting because of the injustice. And again, it's not because of this one individual. No matter what you say about Mike Brown, you can say anything you want to say about it. Oh, they say he smoked weed. Oh, they say he stole some cigarillos. Man, he was a child of God. God gave him life. And there's not a damn thing you can do about it. You got folks out here that are homeowners and renters and auto mechanics are robbing and stealing from people daily. You ain't no damn better than Mike Brown. He was a liar and a thief. There's no category for a liar and a low-down thief. That's what you are. All these bankers, Wall Street, thieves, liars, and murderers. And you have the audacity to look at a color of a man and try to make his crime or whatever he's going through the worst thing ever since sliced bread. Have you no damn shame? May God have all the mercy on you in your life, because every time you denounce that, I'm talking all races, and your motive is because of the color of the content of somebody's skin, you are denying God. Because everything God created, when God created, what did God say? It is good. So who in the hell are you to try to judge what's good and what's not and what's business practices and all that? With all this thievery going on. I'm going to take a quick commercial break. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to talk about the meaning of churches in the beginning and what they really stood for. And then we're going to talk about some of the reasons why people are leaving church. And man, they leaving churches in groves. And they ain't looking back and they ain't coming back. I'm talking about all ages, races, creed, and color. And we'll be back in just a moment after these messages.
She is an owner, creator, and designer of her own fragrance oils and more. Natalie J and her company, Natalie J Naturals, has turned the lives of many of her clients around by sharing her God-given gift that keeps on giving. Her premium handcrafted hair care products came about when she was unable to find anything on the market to suit her needs as a black woman. Well, she sat back, meditated, researched the market, and created this wonderful product for women's natural hair. But she didn't stop there. She went back to work and began working on a new line of fragrances oil that will beat any department store that's merely stealing your dollars out of your community. And at Natalie J Naturals, not only does she has the latest fragrance and oils, but at Natalie J Naturals, they will meet you and create a fragrance that suits your style. Now that's God, I tell you. Where can you go and get a personal fragrance smell that is named after yourself? Well, I did, and I am a #1 client today. Give her a call at area code 615-785-5609 today. You can also shoot her an email at natjack25@gmail.com. That's natjack25@gmail.com. And also check her out. Check out her latest products, in which she has remarkable new products she is working on her Facebook page at facebook.com/Natalie J Naturals. And get this, my beloveds, she delivers. How awesome is that? That's Natalie J Naturals, delivering high quality hair and skincare products designed to meet your unique needs. And tell them Minister Jill Harden sent you by.
All right, we're back. And again, I was saying, dealing with why so many people are leaving the church, and they're leaving them in groves. Even after the ascension of Christ, when the church was formed, really, if you read the book of Acts, you'll get the idea of what, why the church was formed. But its priority was really to have a place to come together and worship and fellowship and in reverence of God. Everywhere people went in the Bible, they didn't build a church, but they certainly built an altar of remembrance of God. And then the church became this place where people can have a remembrance of God, a house of worship, if you will, that they can come and honor God at any given time, day or night. And the church, in return, people would come and give offerings and things of that nature to the church every year. And also the church was a haven for the widows and for the orphans and so forth, the shut-in, the brokenhearted. The church also had work to do as well as assisting in rebuilding and restoring God's people. So it was a wonderful marriage. That's why they always say the bride, the church being the bride. And what an awesome thing that is, that we had this institution where people could come and worship and just share and get to know one another, but also walk in the same light. It's so awesome. And I think beginning from there, I don't want to get into it tonight, But then you have all these different religions, and I don't want to talk about the different religions, but I want to fast forward a little bit, and then you talk about small towns and communities, you know, in the 30s and 40s and 50s. I don't care what color, race, or creed. That church was a cornerstone for everything. Y'all know it. You had a problem, you go to church. Think about committing suicide, go to church. Thinking about starting a business or something in your community, go to church. Thinking about doing a program or something for after school, or even a picnic, go to the church. Over and over and over. That's where everyone went in order to move on something, to organize, to galvanize. Wasn't a whole lot of community-based places you can go. It was the church. The civil rights was born where? In the church. Voters registration came out of what? The church. NAACP. Where did it come out of? The church. Creating jobs for a lot of these young people, families and whatnot who were in slavery and out of slavery, but they had a craft. They came out with a skill, a trade. Where'd they go to learn how to start their own business? At the church. And when you talk about a faith base, even if you're a doctor or lawyer, you still had to have a faith base. Somewhere to lay your burdens down. People are coming to you all day long. Here you are, a psychiatrist or something, and people are coming to you with their issues, and there was nowhere for you to go. But lo again, the church. Always been the center. Christ has always been the center of all things in this lifetime. The foundation of living in the church. Everything, a life that is marked or image out of Christ. Where'd you learn that? In the church. You might say back in those days, people were more faithful and they were more honest with one another. There were no hidden agendas. There was no membership drive. You know, if you loved the Lord, you was in his house. It's just that plain and simple. Wasn't about a membership drive. Wasn't about, oh, girl, they got a nice choir. You know, I know people go to church just to hear certain choirs sing. And we're gonna talk about that in a minute, how people, you know, they attend church at least 4 times a week, but after a while, they become experts. You know, they become the veterans of church, and they know how to work that thing, man. Well, you know, the mass choir don't sing to the 3rd and 5th Sunday, and that's when they go. And God is watching you. Because you don't even have the decency to go for God. I mean, especially if everything's going fine, kids in school, you got a great job, income coming in and all this and that. Your beam is shining, people see you. You got your little bumper sticker that says favor, not fair, all that foolishness. So you don't need God. But you show up anyway to hear the choir. And then all hell breaks loose, like the housing market. And now millions of people are out of home. Millions of people. Because they had no faith and they had no God. And that's the truth. Just because you show up on Sunday doesn't mean you have God in your spirit. Or in your heart. And what we have to understand is the fact that these so-called leaders that are leading these churches, they got to go back to the drawing board and make these churches a haven for youth meetings, for these young folks to come out. And if they want to protest against something, let them. But show them how to do it constructively. I think it's so prevalent that if they had meetings like this in Ferguson, Missouri, and all over this world, you wouldn't have all this stuff burning up. And I did a show just last week called Ferguson on Fire. And I told y'all, be mindful, because not all those fires are going to be started by the people. They're going to have people inside of those organizations or those groups instigating violence And come to find out, it was 4 police officers who set fires last week. You got to be mindful. But you got to have some order and organization. And these church leaders, let me tell you something. If you're going to sit there and take their money and hide behind that FBI, that faith-based initiative, and not do a damn thing, then I think that the board members and anybody else have a right to vote you out, because you ain't no better than a sitting congressman in the White House. If you're just going to sit there and preach me something feel-good speech, but it doesn't mean a damn thing. So amazing. So I want to talk real quick about why some of the youth drop out or stop coming to church. Wonderful article I saw in CT, Explore CT. It talked about talking about all the fears and driven presentations you've heard. Not every young person is walking out of the church the moment they finish high school and never coming back. But here's what you need to know. Young adults who do drop out of church often lack a first-hand faith, a faith of their own, and a relationship with Christ that matters deeply in their own personal life apart from their parents' pressure. I've heard some pretty remarkable statistics about church dropout. They say such as 94% or even 86% of evangelical youth drop out of church right after high school, and they don't come back. Why? Because the stats are urban legend. They've not been validated, but yet they have to be substantiated. So let's look at some statistics regarding young adults dropouts and why they drop out. So some of them say that the reality is there are dropout challenges, but it's not 94% or 86% of evangelicals. The real reason shows that faith is resilient from one generation to the next, but that does not sell the books. And here it is, says there was a survey that they asked young adults why they drop out of church, and of those who dropped out, 97% stated it was because of life change or situations, and that's a pretty substantial number. Among their more specific reasons, 27% said they wanted a break from church. 25% moved to college, and 23% said their work made it impossible for them to attend church. Yet about 58% of the young adults indicated they dropped out because of their church or pastor. When we probed further, they also said that church members seemed judgmental or hypocritical. That's 26%. Young folks also said that they didn't feel connected to the people at their church. At least 20%. Young folks also said church members were unfriendly and unwelcoming. About 15% of them said that. 52% indicated some sort of religious, ethical, or political beliefs as a reason they dropped out. In other words, about 52% changed their Christian views, and maybe they didn't believe what the church taught, or they didn't believe what they perceived others in the church to believe. Again, that's what I talk about with the parents. If you're not walking in the light in that home, and you drag them to this church, and they don't see, and they see you all holy roly, oh girl, oh Christian, and they're like, wait a minute, is that mama? she was getting turned up last night at the party. so it's no wonder why kids are like, man, this is hypocritical. But more specifically, 18% disagreed with the church's stance on political and social issues, and 17% said they were only going to church to please others anyway, and 16% say they no longer wanted to identify with church or any organized religion. So amazing. So some of the things we could do is we can change, because some of these reasons they gave to change, I didn't really agree with. You know, they think that you got to give more, get them more involved, and the youth organizations. What you have to, I'm gonna cut through the chase. What you have to do with young people, you got to keep them active. There are so many causes and so many things that are going on in this world, not just Mike Brown. So many causes, so many injustices in this world. That these young folks came out, Dr. King and all of them came out of Malcolm X. They came out of the church. And they led a mighty coalition against injustice around the world. And no longer are preachers or pastors or leaders wanting to even deal with young folk. They just want them to come there, spend some money, have a good looking youth choir and praise team, and that's all they're gonna do. The devil is a liar. God cannot use you if you ain't busy. And if you're not utilizing these young folks, I don't care if it's creating a Liberty Garden in a community, if it's going in communities and getting kids their same age and inviting them to church, even younger, playing ping pong with them or something, take them to Chuck E. Cheese. I don't care what you do with them, but always getting active and not making God some demon like, oh, you don't go to church, you're not gonna go to heaven, and all those things. Because God is not. He's not impressed with you showing up every Sunday and knowing you a low-down dirty dog come Monday. Who you think you're fooling? So stop shoving that crap to your child. Everywhere you go in biblical times, Abraham was busy plowing. Moses was on the backside of the mountain. David was tending sheep. Everywhere you go, people were plowing when God called them. Dr. King was in Alabama already preaching. So who the hell are you to sit there and want them to smile and look good and make you look good because you got a BMW outside and you got an old piece of government job and you thinking that's godly. That's living godly. That's living a selfish lifestyle because you're doing nothing for the people of God. You're not speaking out for the people of God because you don't want to lose your job.
90 seconds.
That's not even good parenting. I thank God I always told my daughter the truth about the corrupt world we live in, the injustice of these low-down officials and all that. That people are applauding, and even Obama, when he got in office, people were so excited. Oh, we got a black president, and people were crying. You got Jesse on TV crying. You know Obama wouldn't be able to do anything for black folk. What you crying for? He was a token in there.
60 seconds.
You want something done? It's going to take a mighty move of God. Not government, God. That's how everything moved, was through God. How dare you try to erase God and say, you know what, let me try the government. Let me stop begging to them. That's why these kids are so sick of the lies and all the foolishness in churches, because all the music and all that, and yet people are still having sex in church. Everybody. Gay, lesbian, straight, doesn't matter. It's a cesspool now. It's no longer a house of worship, because many preachers have accepted everything but dealing with the government, because they want to keep the numbers up and the money coming in. And I'm telling you, we are in a revolution coming up real soon. Revolution doesn't always mean you have to fight. But when you have to fight, you got to fight. But I'm talking about a new awakening, a spiritual awakening, where these kids are going to begin to stand out on their own. And let me tell you something, Eddie Long or T.D. Jakes and all y'all, no offense, they're going to tell y'all to get the hell on. Because you've had 30, 40 years, you bragging, been preaching for 40 years. What did you do? What youth movement have come out of your institution, out of your church? None. No movement. Just a lot of screaming and hollering and some of the best performances in the world. But other than that, absolutely nothing. I'm going to take this quick break. I'm going to come back and wrap this thing up, dealing with why so many people stop going to church. It's crazy, man. It is crazy. Stay tuned. Back in a second.
Hi there. And I want to share with you this wonderful new home decor store that has the city of Metro Atlanta beaming with excitement. Patina Blue is your one-stop shop where you can find all your amenities for your friends, families, and or business. They have some of the most unique gifts and designs that will have your new home, or if you're just looking to upgrade at Patina Blue, you will find hidden treasures throughout their Alpharetta store. Patina Blue is a unique lifestyle store offering beautiful adornments for you and your home. Their shop is filled with amazing selected collections of gifts, jewelry, bath and body products, furnishings, and home decor. We strive to inspire you and make everyday living simply wonderful, says the owner of this wonderful new store. Whether your style is romantic, rustic, modern, or hip, you will find it all at Patina Blue. Stop by or visit their website at patinablue.com. Let us help you with your decoration needs or selecting the perfect gift. And tell them Minister Jill Harden sent you by.
All right, and we're back to wrap this up. And again, we're talking about 10 reasons why people stop going to church. And I actually had this show for about 2 weeks, but I didn't put it all together. And I wanted to bring it to you tonight to really get down to the gist of it. So when we look at some of the reasons why people leave in the church, I'm going to give you a few of them. But it's wonderful. Benjamin Corey, he wrote this thing down dealing with 10 reasons why he believes people are leaving the church. So number 10 he gave was people leave the church when they can't find a community. This is one of the reasons where it can serve as a reason why people come to church in the first place. And also becomes a reason why they leave. People want community. So many of us are tired of doing life on our own, tired of plastic American relationships, and are looking for deep, loyal, and authentic communal relationships. And this should be a central goal of churches, building communities. Why? Christianity was never meant to be lived out in the context of isolation, but rather in the context of community. And when people can't find community, can't plug in or access meaningful relationships, they split in hopes they'll find it somewhere else. And when church learns to do community well, it is life-giving experiences. When churches fail to build community, church just becomes another item on your list that sucks the life out of you. And he says he experienced church both ways and can honestly say that he is finished investing emotional energy into churches that don't build a culture that values authentic community. Number 9 says people leave church because they need less drama in their lives. And he says he don't know why. I don't know about you, but my life always seems to have enough drama in it. I certainly don't need anything that is going to add to the drama factor. So often people seek out churches because they need a reprieve, a refuge from the emotional drama of the day-to-day living. However, far too often church relationships find a way to add to your drama. Now, I get that we're all imperfect and that any group will have their own conflict, but some churches seem to do drama more often than others. And our jobs, family dynamics, and friendships provide us with enough opportunity to be gossiped about, backstabbed, pushed to margins. We don't need to add to that. And church needs to be a safe place where one can escape the typical relationship drama we all face and instead experience loving, support, and acceptance. When church just becomes another area that is going on to add drama to my life, I need to cut the cord and move on for my own sanity. which leads me to this. Number 8, people leave church because of unresolved conflict. This is so common. People get mad at their pastors, they get the hell on, or usher member, or any church member. And as mentioned above, any community is going to have conflict. However, a healthy and life-giving community is one that practices healthy conflict resolutions in order to keep relationships safe and whole. Some churches do a fantastic job at helping individuals reconcile the differences in loving ways, which de-escalate and restore, while others have skewed ideas of what reconciliation looks like. And too often, wounded people are told or are caused to feel as if their emotional response to being wounded is somehow wrong or sinful. And we can be encouraged to forgive and forget, get over it, or even told we have no right to feel that way. We fail to realize that wounded people need to have their feelings validated and need to have a place to air their hurts in a way that causes them to feel heard. If we want people to stop leaving church, we need to help radical humility and become a peacemaker that Jesus claimed would be blessed. One thing about churches that really bothers me, most churches, not mega, but just churches in general, they don't have enough people who are real counselors. You know, they have deacon of the week as deacon XYZ, but he's not a counselor. He works in Motorola. I mean, I'm not crucifying anybody, but a fact's a fact. And churches need to do a much better job in getting in the right people to help heal God's people. Number 7 says people leave church because of controlling leaders and unskilled teachers. I just said that. Leaders make or break organizations, and church is no different. When the pastor or church leader comes across as controlling, whether it is real or perceived, it creates an environment that doesn't feel safe to the people. No one wants to be controlled, dominated in church. Not even the people who assimilate and eventually tolerate such environments. Instead, people want to feel heard, included in issues of decision-making, long-term vision. Too often it seems like the kids who are picked on in high school either become cops or pastors so that they can control other people. And they become increasingly intoxicated with their own perceived power. And when people like me smell this, we bolt. Likewise, you can have a church with a great community, a loving pastor, but a pastor who happens to be differently gifted outside the realm of preaching and lose people. The longest 45-minute blocks in my life have been when I have been forced to sit and listen to a person fly the plane around the pulpit 10 times without ever landing. Bad preaching is miserable. If people feel the preaching sucks, they'll leave in search of something else. We need to make sure we place people in position to serve in accordance with the ability and passion, not just their passions. I've said it all the time, not everybody called to preach. Y'all got to be mindful of what churches y'all sitting in front rows in. I'm running out of time, so I want to give these last ones to you real quick. Number 6 says people leave church because they get turned off by social climbing, cliques, and nepotism. Number 5 says people leave church when they feel like they need to become a carbon copy of an individual or ideal in order to be fully included and appreciated. 4 says people leave church because they are tired of being told how a good Christian will vote. And people leave church because, number 3 is people leave church because they're looking for something authentic. Number 2 says people leave church because they feel lonely. What a shame that is. The number 1 says people leave church because when they don't find Jesus, they leave. And I told you so often, a lot of these churches, that God ain't no way in there. And you come every week faithfully, and there's no God in that church. I just want to bring this to you tonight, and I thank you guys for tuning in. And please, if you can, share this show with somebody, and follow us on www.blogtalkradio.com/Holy Spirits, and there you can find over 200 shows that we've already done. And as we always say in parting, to love yourselves, to know yourselves. And to know yourselves comes by spending much time with God. Guys, listen again, we thank you so much for this wonderful show. And We got to get better, man. We got to, as a people, we got to get better. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you for tuning into our show. We are honored to be your voice and hearing the latest and most accurate news. We would love to hear from you, our listeners, and tell us what you think about the show. And if there are any topics or shows you would love to hear, we surely would love to hear to get those shows on for you as soon as possible. And if you or someone you know has a small business, we would love to invite you on the show to promote your new business with our viewers and listeners. And finally, if you want to be a sponsor for the show or have your business advertised on the Holy Spirit Radio Show, just click over to the webpage at www.holyspiritsradio.org. From there, you click on the contact page, and we will email you our sales package for you to choose which advertisement spot may suit your needs. We thank you for tuning in and hope to hear from you real soon. Again, this is Minister G.O. Hart saying thank you, peace, and blessings.
Thank you for you.